There are a lot of great players in the NFL who have never made a single Pro Bowl, and I'm on a quest to fix that. Today we're going over 5 players who absolutely deserve to get votes for the Pro Bowl this year who have not been before. Some of them are recent late-round draft picks or undrafted free agents that have only been in the league for a couple of years but still burst out onto the scene as sleeper stars that you need to get to know anyway. And some of them have been around for almost a decade and played great football the entire time and been star players, but still never received the honor. I only have one rule for today, and that is no rookies, because that's cheating. With that, let's start it off with a stalwart in the middle that has played great football for many years at this point, and yet somehow still has yet to receive any of the national recognition that he deserves. DJ Reader is the rock upon which the Cincinnati defense is built. He's been an incredible player for a long time now, 8 years in fact between Cincy and Houston, and he's still never made a Pro Bowl. On some level I get it because he's a nose tackle and nose tackles just don't get a lot of attention, but to me, even though he's a 335 pounder that typically spends most of his time either in a true zero, a shade nose, or a 2-eye, the fact that he can also play 3 technique and be a legitimate pass rusher from that spot, that kind of separates him from most other nose tackles. He's 11th in pressures as of the time of recording this among all defensive tackles, again as a 335 pounder, and that kind of versatility that can play all 3 downs, be a dominant run defender or a dominant pass rusher at a variety of different spots, that's just really hard to find. There's different skill sets and technical nuances that go into playing every single interior defensive line spot, whether it's a 4-eye, a 3 technique, a head-up G, a 2-eye, a shade nose, or a 0. All of them kind of take different skills to do well, and DJ Reader literally does all of them well. He crushes the run game, and he's great on third down, and that's just an exceedingly rare package to find. It's ridiculous to me that he's never made a Pro Bowl after all this time, and so ideally, that drought will finally end this season. Next up, we have a young defender who's played a lot fewer years than DJ Reader at this point, but he already might be on his way to his first Pro Bowl and his first All-Pro season. Full disclosure, I actually had to re-record this part of the video because when I first made it last week, Donlon Bland was only tied with the single-season pick-6 record, and then of course, he broke it. Bland is arguably in the middle of one of the greatest seasons for a defensive back ever. He again already has that pick-6 record with a third of the season still to go. He leads the league in total interceptions at 7, and he's not even the type of corner that gets all these interceptions from gambling. If you look around the league at other DBs that tend to get a lot of picks, they also tend to give up a lot of big plays. It's a very high risk, high reward type of style. But with Donlon Bland, not only is he getting picks, but he doesn't give up big plays. Dallas is not a zone heavy defense that lets him play fast and loose. They are very man heavy. They play the 3rd most man coverage in the NFL. And so for him to be a lockdown man corner that through 12 weeks has given up 14 total catches in single coverage and lead the league in picks, that's just outrageous. When in single coverage with no help, he has a completion percentage allowed of 23%, which is insanely low, and his passer rating allowed is 26.2, which means mathematically, when Donlon Bland is in man coverage, you're actually going to get a higher passer rate from just throwing the ball at the ground than throwing the ball at him. We've seen some incredible single-season efforts from Hall of Fame caliber corners over the last 20 years. Champ Bailey, Darrelle Revis in 2009, of course, Nnamdi Asomugha back in the day. But I would argue that we have never seen somebody be this locked down in man coverage and also be a ball hawk at the same time. This is borderline unprecedented. So not only will Donlon Bland be a Pro Bowler this year, and perhaps he doesn't even belong on this list because it's almost too obvious, but he should also be a first-team All-Pro and an easy contender for Defensive Player of the Year. The fact that the Cowboys got this type of player in the 5th round is just incredible. He's one of the biggest draft steals of the last 10 years, and I think his future in this league is extremely bright. From there, we're going to stay in the state of Texas and go down to Houston, where a 4th-year breakout player at edge is finally making a big name for himself. Jonathan Garner has been a fantastic player for the Texans so far this year and currently leads them in sacks. And that's saying a lot considering the Texans' defense as a whole is top 10 in the NFL in terms of pass rush win rate. He has been a true anchor for them coming off the edge, and he wins in pretty much every way you can think of. He's got a vicious inside counter, and we've also seen him win a couple reps off the edge with a swipe move as well. But truly his bread and butter, and this is what he wins with more than anything else, is his speed to power move. In terms of the ability to just generate pure power and run through a tackle and compress the pocket, there are very few edge rushers this year that are doing it better than Jonathan Garner. He has extremely long arms at nearly 35 inches, and he weaponizes that every single week. And once he gets that length inside your chest, there's kind of not much you can do about it, and he knows it. He has truly been one of the most devastating power rushers in the NFL this year, and he's also a darn good player against the run as well. He is slated to be a free agent in this upcoming offseason, and I'm sure the Texans would love to find a way to keep him around because he's been fantastic down there. But believe me, no matter where he plays in 2024, Jonathan Garner is about to get a huge contract, and he is absolutely deserving of a Pro Bowl nod this year. Next up, we're going to stay in Texas one more time and go back to Dallas to talk about another young player that they drafted in 2022 who also might be in line for his first All-Pro and Pro Bowl season, of course referring to Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith has been arguably the best guard in the entire NFC so far this year when he's been on the field, and he honestly looks like a young Zach Martin. As of the time of me recording this, he has the third lowest pressure percentage allowed in the league at just 2%, and he only has 7 total pressures allowed the entire year. He has been an absolute rock in pass protection despite facing a who's who of interior defensive linemen so far this year. I'm talking Aaron Donald, Javon Hargrave, Dexter Lawrence, Jalen Carter. He's played against all of them and won against all of them. There is no other guard in the NFL with that kind of resume in pass pro, but he's also been an elite run blocker on top of that as well, especially on outside zone and power runs. His feet are incredibly quick for a guard so that he can reach block interior defensive linemen on outside zone, but he's also quick enough to be a great puller, and he's excellent at tracking and handling linebackers on the second level. In addition to that, he has the pure power to blow defensive linemen off the ball on gap scheme runs or to wash defenders down to create space for pullers behind him. He is just a complete package as a run blocker: strength, fluidity, balance, and discipline. He is truly gifted in both the pass game and the ground game, and you could very easily argue that he has been the best overall guard in football this year. Not only is he due for his first Pro Bowl, but he's also probably due for his first All-Pro selection as well. And that says a lot for the drafting ability of the Cowboys front office that is the second time I can say that about a young player that they drafted just 2 years ago. We're not done with that 2022 rookie class, by the way, because we have one more player on this list that is in his second year in the NFL, except this time he wasn't actually drafted. Let's go up to Pittsburgh to talk about a dynamic young running back that they got as a UDFA and who might be one of the best overall players on the entire Steelers roster. Among all running backs in the NFL, statistically speaking, Jaylen Warren is the hardest one to tackle. He has the highest missed tackles forced rate per attempt at 0.41, which is an astronomically high number, and it's a big reason why his per carry average is a whopping 6.2 yards. He also has the highest first down or touchdown percentage on his carries at 31% of them, resulting in either moved chains or a score. So again, a third of all of his touches are incredibly valuable, and even though he might only be 24th among all running backs in rushing yards at 492, you also have to factor in that as of the time of me recording this, he is 12th among all running backs in receiving yards at about 250 there as well. He only averages 28 snaps a game behind Najee, but you could argue that Warren is literally the best overall weapon that the Steelers have on their offense, and he's one of the main reasons why they even have the record that they do, despite being outgained in literally every single game this season. I think the comparisons to Austin Eckler are very warranted, and I remember that once upon a time, Austin Eckler was also a quote-unquote change of pace back in LA that didn't get the majority of touches, but he was still one of the most efficient and explosive three-down weapons in the league that was a huge factor while he waited for a true starting opportunity. Eventually, I do think that Warren will get that same opportunity that Eckler got, and when he does, look out, because he is a really, really good football player, and at least in my opinion, he is one of the 10 best running backs in the NFL. I know that the overall statistics don't show it because he just doesn't get as many snaps as a lot of other top running backs around the league, but if we're just looking at pure efficiency and explosiveness and just who's the best player on the field, there are very few running backs in the NFL that have been better this year than Jaylen Warren. Alright, that will wrap it up for today. I encourage you all to leave your own sleeper Pro Bowler picks down in the comments below because of course there's a lot more guys around the league that also deserve that love that we couldn't get to today. But the more we say their names, the more likely it is that they actually will make a Pro Bowl. So again, leave those down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you again very soon.